listen to me carefully, because what I'm about to say will challenge everything you thought you knew about attraction, confidence, and the way younger women respond to older men. And if you click away too early, you'll miss the one truth that could completely change the way you carry yourself from this day forward. Most men go their entire lives without ever hearing this. They chase, they beg, they perform, and they never understand why the women they want feel nothing for them. They think they're being romantic, but in reality, they're destroying their own attraction without realizing it. What I'm about to reveal is not a trick, not a tactic, and not some recycled dating advice. It's a psychological shift, a shift in energy, in presence, in self-worth, a shift so powerful that once you understand it, you won't approach women the same way again. Because you won't need to. You'll realize that the most magnetic men are not the ones who try to impress a woman, but the ones who force her to slow down and pay attention simply by the way they exist. So before you scroll, before you think you already know where this is going, stop. Because this video is not about giving you lines. It's not about teaching you how to pretend to be someone you're not. It's about revealing the one mindset that younger women are naturally drawn to. Something so rare that most men will never figure it out. But you're here. And if you stay until the end, I promise you will understand exactly why the men you think are too ordinary end up with the women everyone else is chasing. Keep watching, because after this, you'll never see attraction the same way again. Let's slow this down and go deeper into what it really means when we say younger women want the energy of an older man, not his age. Because most men completely misunderstand this dynamic. They think attraction is about physical appearance, wealth, or some one-dimensional stereotype, when in reality, the psychology behind it is far more complex and far more revealing. A younger woman does not look at an older man and see wrinkles or years. She sees a man who has survived life, a man who has lived enough to know himself, a man who carries an inner calm that younger men simply haven't earned yet. What shocks most people is how subtle this attraction is. It's not loud, it's not messy, it's not based on superficial charm. It's based on the emotional energy an older man radiates without even trying. And this energy is something a younger man cannot fake because it comes from experience. Experience in relationships, in failure, in heartbreak, in rebuilding, in responsibility, in loss, in self-correction. Every chapter of a man's life shapes the way he breathes, speaks, and reacts. And this is exactly what a younger woman feels when she is in the presence of an older man who is grounded in himself. Younger men often seek validation, approval, reassurance. Their confidence is still forming. Their identity is still in progress. They respond quickly, they react impulsively, and they need attention to feel relevant. But an older man, a man who has genuinely grown, doesn't operate from that place. He doesn't chase. He doesn't explain his worth. He doesn't feel threatened by silence. His confidence is not a performance, it is a state of being. And that difference is magnetic. A younger woman picks up on this instantly. She senses the stability. She senses the emotional consistency. She senses the calm authority. And what she feels is safety, something extremely rare in today's world. Safety doesn't mean control or dominance. It means a man who is not controlled by his insecurities, his impulses, or his desire to impress. It means a man who can hold space without trying to fill it. That is what pulls her in. And here is the deeper truth. A younger woman is not searching for a father figure or a savior. She is searching for a man who has mastered himself enough to be fully present with her. Someone who listens without waiting for his turn to speak. Someone who observes without judging. Someone who speaks with intention, not urgency. Someone whose attention feels like a choice, not a need. When an older man carries this kind of energy, he becomes unforgettable, not because he tries to, but because he doesn't. This is why older men who try to behave like younger guys lose everything. The moment he starts chasing, performing, or competing. He kills the very essence that made him attractive. A younger woman does not want a man who mirrors her age. She wants a man who elevates her experience. She wants depth, clarity, and direction. She wants the kind of emotional presence that can only be developed through time and self-awareness. And if you're an older man listening to this, you need to understand you don't attract her by pretending you're young. You attract her by embracing the strength that only age gives. The energy she wants is the energy of a man who has nothing to prove and everything to express. A man who doesn't rush connection but lets it unfold. A man who values peace more than attention. A man who knows who he is and who he is not. This type of masculinity is rare. It is calm, grounded, intentional. It's not about being perfect, it's about being present. It's not about being impressive, it's about being internally secure. And the more deeply an older man understands this, the more naturally younger women gravitate toward him. Not because he chases them, but because he embodies what they are craving in a world full of chaotic, reactive, emotionally inconsistent men. So if you are an older man, the first and most powerful thing you must understand is this: your age is not your weakness. Your experience is your advantage. Your calm is your magnet. Your maturity is your charm. Your emotional steadiness is your seduction. Don't run from it. Don't hide it. Don't dilute it. Use it, because the kind of energy you carry is the kind younger women remember long after the conversation ends. And the truth is simple. It's not your age she's drawn to. It's the man you became because of it. When we talk about the way an older man truly attracts a younger woman, we need to step away from the surface level nonsense people recycle online. Attraction at this level isn't built on cheesy lines or exaggerated confidence. It's built on the quiet traits that younger men struggle to develop. Discipline, intentional silence, emotional clarity. These qualities don't shout for attention. They don't try to impress. They simply exist, and their presence is felt long before a word is spoken. This is exactly why younger women notice them immediately. They feel different. They feel rare. They feel safe. Discipline, especially, is something that speaks without sound. When a man has structure in his life, when he has boundaries around his time and his energy, when he no longer negotiates with his excuses or his old habits, it creates a vibration of self-respect that a younger woman picks up on instantly. She sees the way he carries himself, the way he makes decisions, the way he honors his commitments. Not to impress her, but because this is simply who he is now. A disciplined man doesn't need to tell you he has standards. You can see it in the way he moves. You can feel it in the way he shows up. And that subtlety is deeply attractive. Then there's the silence, not the uncomfortable silence of insecurity, but the powerful silence of a man who is comfortable in his own presence. A man who doesn't rush to fill the gaps with noise. A man who allows moments to breathe. Younger men struggle with silence because they confuse it with rejection or disinterest. Older men, when grounded, understand that silence is space for observation, connection, reflection, and when a younger woman speaks and he listens, not passively, but actively, she feels something uncommon. She feels valued, she feels understood, she feels seen in a way that younger men rarely make her feel. Listening has become a lost art, and when an older man practices it naturally, it becomes a form of flirtation without even trying. Emotional clarity is the next piece, and it might be the most important. Younger women are drawn to older men because they crave stability in a world that constantly teaches them to expect confusion. Emotional clarity means you know what you feel, you know why you feel it, and you know how to express it without chaos or manipulation. It means you don't send mixed signals. You don't disappear and reappear. You don't treat her like an option while expecting her loyalty. You communicate with honesty because you respect both her and yourself. And this level of emotional intelligence is so attractive that it instantly separates you from younger men who are still fighting their internal battles on the outside. When an older man combines these three elements, discipline, silence, and emotional clarity, he becomes magnetic in a way that younger men can't imitate. A younger woman isn't impressed by popularity or superficial confidence. She is drawn to the psychological depth behind your behaviors. She notices that you're not easily rattled. She notices that you don't chase approval. She notices that you don't fall apart over minor inconveniences. She notices that your conversations have weight, your presence has calm, and your attention has intention. This is what separates an ordinary interaction from a memorable one. And the beautiful truth is that none of this requires effort. It's not a technique. It's not a strategy. It's not a manipulation. It's simply the natural result of maturity, of years spent growing, learning, healing, and becoming a man who is not guided by impulse, ego, or insecurity. Younger men often fight for attention. Older men command it without trying. Younger men argue to prove their intelligence. Older men speak with simplicity because wisdom doesn't need decoration. Younger men try to impress with bravado. Older men impress with presence. This is why your way of flirting must be different. You don't flirt with theatrics. You flirt with awareness. You flirt with restraint. You flirt by showing her the version of masculinity that she rarely encounters. Calm, grounded, self-respecting. When you embody this energy, she doesn't just become interested, she becomes curious. She wants to understand you. She wants to observe you. She wants to be around you because your presence makes her feel something she can't find anywhere else. So understand this. The most seductive thing an older man can offer is not charm, it is mastery. Mastery of himself, mastery of his emotions, mastery of his energy. And the more you cultivate this, the less you will ever need to chase anyone. Because when a man is disciplined, silent in the right moments, and emotionally clear, he becomes unforgettable. And here's the truth you should remember. Your presence becomes your attraction the moment your behavior reflects the man you've worked so hard to become. When we talk about the most powerful way an older man connects with a younger woman, we must talk about restraint. Not because restraint is about holding back desire, but because restraint is the clearest sign of self-control. And self-control is the highest form of masculine maturity. Younger men often mistake intensity for attraction. They rush, they push, they try to accelerate intimacy as if speed creates connection. But a younger woman does not respond to speed, she responds to certainty. She is not looking for a man who overwhelms her. She is looking for a man who makes her feel chosen, not chased. Restraint communicates something profound. It shows that you are not driven by impulse. You are driven by intention. When you don't rush into flirting, touching, or escalating things, you create a psychological experience for her that is both rare and deeply grounding. She senses that you are not trying to possess her, you are simply allowing the dynamic to unfold. This makes her feel safe enough to take the lead emotionally. And that is where her attraction grows, not through pressure, but through comfort. Younger women today encounter a lot of performative masculinity. Men who act confident because they think confidence is loud. Men who confuse persistence with pressure. Men who believe affection means constant pursuit. So when she meets an older man who is steady, patient, measured, and respectful of pace, her entire nervous system relaxes. She feels like she can breathe around him because restraint is quiet, and in that quietness she finds clarity. This doesn't mean being cold or distant. It means being present without being intrusive. You're attentive without being demanding. You're interested without being overwhelming. You respond, but you don't react. You engage, but you don't cling. You give space, but not silence. This balance is powerful because it shows that your life is full, your emotions are regulated, and your sense of self does not depend on her validation. And the irony is this: the less pressure you put on her, the more naturally she opens up to you. When a woman feels she has space to come toward you on her own terms, her desire grows organically. She leans in, not because you chased her, but because you created a safe emotional environment for her to approach. This is where real attraction lives. Not in pursuit, but in the invitation. An older man who understands this becomes unforgettable because he interacts from a place of inner abundance. His attention is a gift, not a plea. His presence is grounding, not needy. He never uses affection as a strategy. He gives attention because he wants to, not because he's afraid of losing her. This is the kind of energy that younger women crave, attention that feels genuine, not transactional. And there's something deeply philosophical here. When you practice restraint, you're showing her that you value the connection more than the outcome. You're showing her that you're not just driven by chemistry, you're driven by compatibility. You're not trying to rush toward intimacy because you're not afraid of waiting. Waiting is easy when you are emotionally mature, and waiting is attractive because it reflects a man who has already mastered the impatience that torments younger men. A younger woman sees this and instinctively feels the difference. She feels that your interest is not manipulative. She feels that your presence is not conditional. She feels that your calm is not an act. And that is what makes you stand out, because it's not just restraint, it's leadership. Leadership over your emotions, leadership over your impulses, leadership over your intentions. This level of composure doesn't just attract her, it earns her respect. A woman respects a man who does not try to pull her into his world too quickly, but instead allows her to choose it. She respects a man who doesn't confuse desire with entitlement. She respects a man who doesn't believe that wanting her means he owns her time, her energy, or her emotional bandwidth. Respect naturally generates attraction, and attraction deepens when a woman feels seen but not pressured. So when you step back with confidence, not out of fear, not out of insecurity, but out of emotional intelligence, you create the most powerful psychological environment for desire to grow, because desire needs space, it needs breath, it needs mystery, not manufactured mystery, but real mystery. The kind that comes from a man who isn't easily read because he isn't trying to impress. When a man practices restraint, he isn't withholding affection, he's withholding urgency. And that is the difference between a boy and a man. A boy rushes because he fears missing out. A man waits because he knows what he brings. And the truth is simple: the more you master your restraint, the more you awaken her desire to come toward you. Remember this: when you stop chasing, you stop losing. And when you let her feel chosen, not pursued, you become the man she keeps choosing long after the moment ends.